There are a lot of video book summaries out there, but none of them ever tackle the levels of creating a book summary. Instead, they set a universal standard on everything that you read. Some books will resonate with you more than others. Your book summaries should reflect this. In this video, I will talk about the learning habit I wish I started sooner, creating book summaries. I hope to convince those who don't create book summaries or even read to do so. I will also show those making them that there is more than one standard way of doing so. How is it going, fellow learners? My name is Aiden Halfont. On this channel, we help you instill learning habits into your life. Most people are in this level. The everyday chap doesn't engage with their books in any way. Instead, they read like usual and hope that they will magically remember everything years down the line. I was at this level for most of my life until January of 2021. I didn't interact with books in any way. No note-taking, no highlighting, no creating. Reading in this way is faulty. While reading, you feel like you know everything. But in reality, you're falling for masked cramming, an artificial feeling of competence on a subject that comes about when you cram all of its contents into short-term memory. It's temporary. If I had closed the book and practiced recall, I would not have been able to bring much information at all to mind. My mom fell for this. I was sitting in my living room with a cup of chamomile tea and the book Make It Stick. She walked in and asked me what it was I was reading. I gave her a summary and she just stood there for 5 seconds and thought, "What are you doing?" I asked. "I'm trying to figure out if I read that book or not." That's what happens if you read passively. Reading passively with fiction is fine. The appeal of fiction book comes more from how they make you feel than the information they give you. However, you have to read nonfiction actively. Doing otherwise is a waste of time. The Highschool Studier bolds or underlines whatever resonates with them while reading. Then they call it a day. I call it the Highschool Studier because it's the technique most high school students use to study. I entered this level in January 2021, the same time I started making book summaries. This level is slightly better than doing nothing at all, but not by much. Studies show highlighting in isolation doesn't make you remember information any better. However, highlighting does make future rereads more interesting. Your present self can look back upon the things your past self found interesting. This lets you reflect on how you've changed. You can also create notes or annotations inside of your highlights. You can use these notes for whatever you want. Summarize the highlight, mark something down for later, connect the highlight to something you have read. I use different colors to represent different kinds of ideas. Yellow is the standard I use for anything interesting. Blue is used for highlighting anecdotes from the author. Pink is used to highlight studies, and orange is used for nothing. Orange is very lonely. My favorite way to use highlight notes is to write down anecdotes reflecting the idea encapsulated in the highlight. Then, if I ever write a book summary later, I will explain the highlighted idea through a personal anecdote. An example would be helpful. I wrote a book summary on Think Again by Adam Grant, which I've also done a video on up above. While writing, I connected the ideas of task and relationship conflict to an anecdote. Task conflict is arguing with someone over their idea or opinion, whereas relationship conflict is arguing with the person. I wrote a short story about an argument I had with my brother while canoeing on Saranac Lake to emulate these conflicts. I forgot a piece to one of our hammocks. We wanted to eat some lunch in the hammocks until we realized that there was a missing piece. My brother instantly launched into me. He told me I was a terrible packer and it was all my fault. We found the hammock part a couple of hours later. We probably would have found it earlier had we engaged in task conflict. I wrote down the idea for this anecdote while I was reading Think Again. This way, I didn't have to disrupt my writing process when I created the book summary. Make your past self work for you. We still have one big issue. Unless you're making a book summary, nothing encourages you to go through past highlights on books. The next level solves this. The Flashcard Person takes the highlights from every single one of their books, podcasts, articles, and other mediums of consumption and turns them into flashcards. I entered this level in June of 2021. The Flashcard Person does this with a magical app called Readwise. I love this app. I have an entire video on using Readwise effectively linked up above. To summarize, Readwise is an app that collects the highlights and notes from the various books, podcasts, articles, or other things that you consume. So whenever you take a highlight or make a note while consuming information, it will get sent to Readwise. Readwise stops your highlights from sitting and collecting dust through spaced repetition software. Every day, you're given a series of 15 highlights. You're tested on highlights you don't know, as well as not tested on ones you've remembered for long stretches of time. If you make it to this step, you're doing better than 99.999% of the population. The next couple of levels will engage you with books on a level you have never experienced. To be in the Cool Kids Squad, you have to export your Readwise highlights into a note-taking system like Roam Research, Notion, or Obsidian, to name a few. I joined this level in March of 2021. After finishing a book, you answer a set of template questions. I have linked them down below. I got this template from Ali Abdal, and it has done wonders for my reading retention. It includes prompts like summarizing the book in 3 sentences, remarking how it changed you, and who else would like to read it. It doesn't take nearly as long as writing a long-form book summary. This level requires more effort than most people are willing to give. It's funny, some people are eager to spend hours consuming text passively, but not the 30 to 45 minutes that will make them understand the text they just engaged with. The benefits are astounding. You will engage more deeply with the text you have read. You will know who to recommend the book to if a friend asks you for recommendations. I have told about many of my friends who have asked about some of my favorite books with some of the books that I've summarized using this template. If I've forgotten most of the book, I can always go into my personal book summary and remind myself. In the Ultra Cool Kids Squad, you create an entire long-form book summary of what you read. I started to do this level in June of 2021. You rarely find a book that is absolutely life-changing. When you do, you have to make a book summary out of it. You will know when you find one. I have made an entire video on the art of writing long-form book summaries, which you can watch up above. It gives a framework and process that works for every book I have made a long-form book summary on so far. There are 2 ways you can do this. You can either write more of the traditional bullet point book summary or craft a compelling narrative that you would give out to friends or family. I write most of my long-form book summaries with prose and story. This means I make the book summaries entertaining to read. I don't give a simple overview of the book. I connect it to personal stories, conflicting thoughts, and other ideas that will make the summary itself worth a read. It makes it easier for the next stage. Writing long-form book summaries takes ages. That's why it should only be done with the best of books. Books you feel like are a vital part of who you are. My Think Again book summary was over 13,000 words and took around 25 to 30 hours of fun work. I read it, created a book outline, wrote it, and then proofread it after sending it to family. As an Ascended one, you create things out of your book summaries. You can make anything: YouTube videos, podcasts, blog posts, or a course. I started doing this in August of 2021, and it changed the type of content I put out. There are so many more ideas and insights in the videos that I create now. Creating is the most active thing you can do when reading something. It's the ultimate respect you can give to an author. This is why I like creating book summaries like a narrative. It makes it super easy to translate them into content for other things. I've used them for YouTube scripts, blog posts, email newsletters, and even lesson plans for people I'm teaching at Cornell. There are hidden benefits to creating content as well. David Perel described this process as building a serendipity vehicle. It's a magnet of ideas for people, opportunities, and other things that you didn't even know existed. All comes from showing your work. It's proof of the effort you went through in reading your books. Showing my work has landed me many opportunities I never expected. For example, I got into the TEDx Cornell marketing team primarily because I showed them my YouTube channel. As a result, I've made contacts with people such as Kelly Fancher and Eleanor Hunter. There are many influencers online interested in the things that you have to say. Showing your work lets you connect with them. I've made long-term friendships with people on my part-time YouTuber academy by sharing a passion for creating YouTube videos. Most people have been benefiting from this process without even realizing it. It's likely by consuming someone else's content, you have been exposed to their summaries. Connecting with people exposes you to their ideas and insight. This fuels your own creative flow by helping you create better book summaries and possibly other forms of content down the line. The most common complaint about writing book summaries is it's an isolating endeavor. This couldn't be further from the truth. Writing connects you to others, opens you up to ideas and insights from another world completely foreign from your own. Austin Kleon said it perfectly in his book, Show Your Work. Creativity is always, in some sense, a collaboration, the result of a mind connected to other minds. Humble ones are people who are too late to the party. They have been reading for a long time, but never created book summaries on past books. Humble ones accept this and start to create book summaries on books they've already read. This takes an insane amount of humility and dedication, as much dedication as quitting peanut butter. I only started doing this in August of 2021 when I began writing book summaries. Most people think the more books you read, the wiser you'll become. This is not true. As Thomas Hobbes said, if I read as many books as most men do, I would be as dull-witted as they are. You don't need to find new books. Sometimes the best thing to do is to return to previously read books and read them again. Your brain has understood them once. It will be much easier the second time. Create a book summary on them. Discover new things you never noticed the first time through. Use your brain power to comprehend and analyze the text rather than understand it. Looking back on my life, if there were one habit I wished I had adopted sooner, it would be creating book summaries. I stopped reading on my own whim all throughout middle and high school. I didn't feel books gave me anything. I read a book for hours, but never retained or implemented anything from the reading. After I started writing book summaries in January 2021, this changed. I experienced all of the benefits mentioned before. Better comprehension, better retention, and more material for creating content. But surprisingly, I experienced some things I never expected. Creating book summaries in my note-taking app of choice, Rome Research, made my daily interactions drastically better. This is because I let my book summaries grow and foster in my second brain. Your second brain is a culmination of the apps you use along with the systems you go by to organize and store information that resonates with you for use further down the line. Over a year of storing book summaries in my second brain, I notice I can recall so much more of the book in daily interaction. If my mom asked me about something I read 6 months ago, I can respond with a comprehensive book overview. Family dinners have become a place to talk about ideas and thoughts. Friendly chats become more than idle chit chat about the weather and how little sleep we got last night. Check out my playlist on how to build a second brain. It talks about what a second brain is, what apps you will need to build it, and why it's so amazing. As always, have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.